Lee Johnston and Cheryl Fraser had a dream: to leave their native Wales and start a new life in Spain. But Lee had an unusual idea for making their Spanish fortune.
We want to breed snails. It's the ideal place to breed snails, you see.
So they travelled the length and breadth of Spain, and although they found countless desirable properties, most of which Lee decided to buy...
I love this, I really do love it.
This is a beautiful village.
You couldn't wish for a better place than this, you see. This is definitely top of the list.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll definitely buy it, definitely.
He could never quite pluck up the courage to part with the money.
At 59, I haven't got enough time to go on again if I make the balls up this time.
So they decided to move to Spain anyway.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And rent an apartment. But after just 2 days, the claustrophobia of Costa living and an unseasonal spell of bad weather put an enormous strain on their relationship.
Oh, will you get him out of here?
So they rented a finca overlooking Lake Vinuela. And they fell in love all over again.
I've been making love to a 50-year-old woman this morning.
And although Lee then developed a serious problem with his back, he was still determined to start his snail farm.
I've come to make you an offer you can't refuse.
And he decided to put it on the front garden of local estate agent Tim.
So you want me to become a snail farmer then?
Correct.
Basically.
Enter Raphael from the Spanish Snail Institute and his sidekick, Bruno.
Starsky and Hutch.
We need to jump like a starter.
And together, they embarked on the realization of Lee's vision.
It's the beginning of a dream.
But as work continued on the site, Lee's back went from bad to unbearable. His humour darkened with the weather, and Welsh-Spanish relations hit an all-time low. Then Lee was attacked by a swarm of insects. And though Raphael's old Spanish remedy did nothing to help with the bites, it suddenly lightened Lee's mood. The team was back together again, and finally they achieved their goal.
JD, job done.
But as 1,000 pregnant molluscs prepared to give their all, Lee finally conceded he would have to return to the UK for an operation.
But we will be back.
We will be back. Hasta la vista, baby.
It was here, in the beautiful region of Ashakira in southern Spain, that Lee and Cheryl finally saw the realization of their dream and created their snail farm, albeit on the front garden of local estate agent Tim. But that was 7 months ago, and now we've returned to see how the farm has fared. And unbelievably, the scene is one of total devastation, a veritable ghost town, with not a living mollusk in sight. So, what on earth has happened here? And where the hell are Lee and Cheryl?
Well, you tell me. A week after we had the snail farm set up, they came down the office and explained they were going back for a month to get Lee's back sorted out, and I haven't seen or heard from them since. They've done a runner. I agreed that I'd look after it for a month with Alfonso, my neighbour, but Lee broke his promise, and I'm not happy chappy at all.
So we went searching for Lee and Cheryl back in the UK, but their house near Caerphilly in South Wales was deserted. Eventually, we tracked them down to Betsy Coed in North Wales, where they appear to be running a fish farm and living in a caravan. So what on earth are they doing here?
Well, how this came about, I loaned a guy some money because he was in a bit of a problem with the fishery. And then I had to lend him some more money. And when we came over, we were a bit dismayed at the state of the place. And the only way we could see us ever getting any money back was to actually buy it off him and then
Clean it up
and sell it again.
So they're now the proud owners of this rather dilapidated fishery. There's a lake, various stock pools, and a motley assortment of mobile homes, sheds and caravans. In short, it's Lee's idea of paradise. But do they have any idea what has actually happened to their snail farm in Spain? You set up the snail farm and you had 1,000 snails that were going to make 100,000, but you haven't been back since.
Well, we subcontracted to Tim, and Tim subcontracted to Alfonso. So we felt more than obligated to let them have the profit
spoils, as it was, yeah.
of the first attempt. I think if they didn't break even, they made a few bob. They had a drink out of it anyway.
Yeah.
So did you make any money out of this?
No, not a cent.
And it gets worse, because before Lee departed from Spain, he decided, for no apparent reason, to get Tim to arrange a lease on the disused portion of this garden centre.
He's paid 6 months up front and not even set foot on the ground. It's just basically a rubbish tip.
So what on earth is Lee planning to do with his rubbish tip?
Well, nothing at the moment.
But you've rented it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, we've leased the garden centre now, so it is ours. So whenever we want to go, we've paid the lease, paid the money, everything is ours. So as soon as we get rid of the fishery now, we're back over there.
Well, he might as well burn his money, to be honest. He's saying that he needs to save money to buy the property eventually, but he's wasting money on stupid ideas like this. That's how business-minded Lee is. Get it together, boy.
So, has Lee got it together here at the fishery?
It's a fish, not a dog.
Well, he's coming up to me.
Well, if nothing else, he seems to have made a new pal, called Bluey.
He's a blue trout.
Trout.
There's rainbow trout, blue trout, and we've got some blonde trout in there as well. But this guy's friendly, and he comes up to me and...
We had a guy from the fishery come over to have a look at him because we thought he might have been poorly.
But he's quite happy.
But the fishery guide said there's nothing wrong with him. He's just a friendly fish. I think he must be getting on a bit.
Speaking of getting on a bit, what's happened to you about your back, Lee?
Oh, I'm still on the happy pills.
He hasn't had the operation.
And my arm is still the same. It's and my leg now. Funny enough, my left leg is getting a bit humpty-dumpty.
So, rather predictably, Lee hasn't done the one thing he came back to the UK to do.
It's not as bad as it was. He does wake up sometimes and he's got the pain in his arm like he used to. Oh! So I'm still keen for him to get something sorted out about it, but he's not so sure.
In theory, the fishery provides an income to Lee and Cheryl, both through the daily fees they charge to fishermen and through passing customers looking to buy fresh trout. But therein lies a fundamental problem.
The only thing with a fishery that's I find a bit abhorrent is the fact that I've got to kill the fish. Sorry about this, Mr. Fish. That's not my scene, to be honest with you. I know it's stupid and we eat fish and we eat meat, etc., but job
just
done.
Go and weigh these. He doesn't mind looking after them, feeding them. He doesn't mind the fishermen fishing for them and releasing them. But when he's got to kill them to sell to people to eat, he finds it very hard. So I usually end up doing it.
He doesn't like the customers, in fact, does he?
No, he's not very good with customers. It's not retail trade is definitely not his bag, I'm afraid.
So it's not a good business to run, really?
It is definitely not a good business for Lee to run. He just doesn't like killing the fish and having to hand them over to people who are going to eat them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what else can I say? Thanks a lot. See you again. Bye-bye.
But do they earn a living here?
Barely. We scratch a living. That's why we've got to move on and do something else, I think.
Back for Spain, maybe?
I hope so. I really
Snails,
hope so.
maybe?
Maybe snails. But we'll have to wait and see what Lee's got up his sleeve.
I'm frightened now. But if Lee and Cheryl do decide to head back to Spain, they're going to have a bit of a problem with transport.
The van was written off.
Oh,
Going out the gate, and I was stopped in the driveway, and a lorry overtook a car that was overtaking some other thing, pulled over in our driveway and took the front off the van, completely gone, bang.
What, were you in it?
Yeah,
sat there.
he was in the
I was
driver's
waiting
seat.
to pull out.
So basically you were sat there with your legs dangling onto the road.
That's right, yeah, with no front on the van. Literally, there was no front on the van.
Fortunately, though, Lee did manage to salvage one of the essential fixtures from his van.
I've got my patented #1 shower.
so as to ensure Cheryl's daily hygiene at the fish farm.
Oh, don't tell me this is the shower still here.
Absolutely.
So you just take the debris out.
What sort of debris? Oh, crowds and things like that.
And that's it.
That goes down inside.
Yeah.
Just in there to the left.
Are you serious, Cheryl? Makes you have a shower in here?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, at least it's inside.
Oh, it's disgusting.
When you're having a shower, you're cleaning yourself.
Well, not really, not in here.
It's really disgusting.
But Lee's shower demonstration is brought to an abrupt halt by a most unwelcome intruder.
Lee, there's a cormorant on the water. Get out!
This is the most feared of all the fishy predators.
Here he is.
We'll throw something at him.
Oh, you swine! There's one dead.
Like a fox in a hen coop, a cormorant will go on killing fish even if they have no way of eating them.
He won't fly off now because his wings are wet. He has to dry them first.
Yeah.
Oh, that's useful. At least Lee won't have to retrieve his bits of wood.
Bloody thing.
You get out in a minute.
Go on, get out.
Finally, the cormorant leaves of its own accord until it's spotted by Brandy.
Get the dogs in and let him get out of the water, Cheryl, because it's going to go on forever.
Start shouting at me. Brandy, Tilly, come on.
Come on.
So the dogs are locked up, but the cormorant is back in the water. And this time, the consequences are tragic.
Looks like it's the blue one.
Oh, no. Lee's not going to be pleased about that.
No, he's not going to be very happy at all.
I think I can hear him loading a gun, in fact.
Yeah, I think he is.
Well, this cormorant has made a big mistake in killing Lee's partner.
He's had the blue one.
What?
He's had the blue one.
Oh, dear, dear, dear.
Because now it's personal.
Not enough power in this, look.
Of course, Lee would be devastated if he actually hit the cormorant. And it's a protected species anyway. So in truth, he's just trying to scare it away. But God knows how many trout he's now shot.
We'll have to leave him get out.
No waste of time. Thank God for that.
Oh, don't shoot him again. Let him dry.
Well, that was for Bluey.
I suppose the best thing is to just walk away and leave him go.
Yeah, now he's out.
So the murderous cormorant is spared,
Yeah, I don't think he's
Just
hang
keep an eye
about.
on him.
leaving Lee to come to terms with the death of his friend.
Well, 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 sorry, old son. My mate.
My mate. So it looks like we'll be having a large trout for tea.
Sorry, Bluey.
With the tragic death of Lee's best friend, Bluey the trout, Lee's heart just isn't in the fishery anymore. So he started to think seriously about returning to Spain. And while Cheryl seems to have found herself a job modelling for the local trainee hairdressers, Lee has embarked on a plan to swap the fishery for a property in Spain.
I put an advert in the Dalton's Weekly and Exchange and Mart for somebody to swap the fishery for a villa, finca, piece of land, anything in Spain. The one that we're quite taken with, and this was from a Sir David Warmington, who has a finca. Looks absolutely super, actually. It's about 5 acres. He's got Sky Television. He's got a veranda.
How do you know he's got Sky? You can
I can see his Sky dish. He's got a Sky dish.
Oh,
hasn't he?
yeah, there
Right.
it is.
Anyway, we're going to have a look at that because it does look very, very nice. But we go and meet him.
Yeah.
So we're off again. After an absence of 9 months, Lee and Cheryl have returned to southern Spain. Still on the hunt for property, but the beauty this time is that apparently no money will change hands.
How are you feeling about being back in Spain, Cheryl?
Delighted to be back in. I didn't want to go live in North Wales. It was thrust upon me. But
What are you saying? Why don't you say what you mean?
it was thrust upon me. I had to go live in North Wales. How much plainer can I
You
get?
didn't have to live with me up there.
Oh, don't be so stupid. Nobody else would have you.
Nothing changes. So where are we headed?
We're on our way to meet David at the BP garage in Alarin Grande, and he's going to show us his place.
He sounds very, very posh, very
Old school.
old Etonian. We can't be the only people in the world that are crazy enough to do something like this.
I think you might be, actually.
Well, there might be one out there. We might meet him today.
You know us. One look is worth 1,000 words.
One look is worth 1,000 miles, usually with you.
Is that the BP garage?
That looks like a BP garage, but I have to go round the roundabout.
Sounds like a good idea. Any sign of an old Etonian? So you're looking for somebody with a boating hat on or something?
Well, we don't even know what he looks like. He sounds elderly-ish.
How can you tell if a man's elderly-ish on the...
Oh, here we go. Back to normal.
And not 5 minutes later, who should turn up but an elderly-ish ex-public schoolboy.
That's bound to be him. Oh! Ah. I bet this is David.
You're quite right, Lee. Welcome to Alarino Grande.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
This is Cheryl, my wife.
Hello,
That's
Cheryl.
right.
Hello. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Did you find your way up here all right?
No problem at all. No problem
Oh,
at all.
good. Shall I lead the way then? And I won't drive very quickly. Well, that car doesn't go very quickly anyway.
So Sir David is certainly amiable, but on first impression, do they think he'll be up to running the fishery?
Oh, easy,
Oh, I don't
easy
see why
peasy.
not.
It's not rocket science to run a fishery. You got to keep your eye on water levels and
You got to chat to the fishermen and ask them how they're doing and what they're catching.
keep the
on.
water aerated in the hot weather, etc. But it's nothing. It's not rocket science.
Well, Sir David's finker is immediately impressive. And he even seems to share Lee and Cheryl's passion for dogs.
Nice. Here we are.
Oh, what a stunning, beautiful place.
Absolutely.
We don't need
Nice
to.
and
We,
warm at long last.
Yes,
we don't need to go inside, David. We're quite happy with you.
Lee, you must come and see what
No.
there is inside.
Oh, it's absolutely
Shell's falling in love with
stunning.
it. So
Let's just wander over here, and then I'll try and point out the borders and the variety of trees that there are. Of course, they're not looking at
Sir
that
David's grounds are a veritable Garden of Eden.
It's mainly oranges down below. And then over this side, you've got two major fig trees there. That's sort
Yeah, I
of
see
skeletal-like.
Lee and Cheryl can hardly believe their luck.
Mandarins, satsumas, quinces.
There's clearly an awful lot of upkeep. But fortunately for Sir David, he's got a man who does.
You ought to meet Fracco, who's, if we're going to make some arrangement,
Yeah.
you can't survive without this gentleman.
Right, okay.
Fracco, la signora Cheryl, y signor Lee.
I'll laugh.
Fracco se llama. It's Corporal para Francisco, well, it's short for Francisco. You wouldn't believe it, but he's 69 years old. He still hacks away at the ground as though he were less than my age, which I'm not going to tell you. But you can't survive without him. I mean,
he
he's
lives
very
here.
much a countryman, and we built him this little house behind here, where he's got a sofa for guests. So he's got really everything he needs there.
Well, lucky old Fracco. I bet he can't wait till the next Spanish Civil War.
Poor chap, he doesn't earn an awful lot of money. So, anyway, we carry on.
Oh,
He behaves himself more or less all right. Muy bien. Okay, if we go around here, then you...
As they head round the back of the house, it's clear that Fracco's going to have his work cut out, because Sir David seems to have ambitious plans to turn part of the finca into a driving range.
The idea was to have 4 golf tees scattered around, and from the far end of the property, it's about a 7-iron shot to be able to get to the green. But the trouble is, the trajectory on 2 of the tees that I planned takes the ball, if you're lucky, over the house, and that's what worries my wife particularly, because she envisages me taking our lunch gas with a glass of brandy out after lunch, and then they topping the ball straight through the kitchen window, the drawing room window, whatever.
So the house and grounds are clearly beautiful. But can Sir David be serious about swapping this for a fishery in Wales?
Yes, I mean, I like the idea, but we get onto the subject. I think it sounds like an interesting business. It's in a beautiful part of the country, and from a commercial standpoint, I would have thought it has got very good prospects, in principle. We'll see. But I haven't seen Lee's cash flow estimates yet, or balance sheet, so we'll come to that, no doubt, later on.
it's a very black. It's a very black economy.
Cash flow, what's that?
What, yeah.
Okay, if we go through to the courtyard, well, what is now a courtyard, used to be the farmyard, And probably best.
Well, if this all works out, Lee and Cheryl have really landed on their feet here.
Through here, you've got the library, and that leads through into a sitting room and a dining room at the end, and quite a large kitchen. What we've got upstairs is a double bedroom, which is a bit of a shambles at the moment, another double bedroom, which is a bit of a shambles. The main double bedroom for guests and adjoining bathroom.
Oh, well, here's a bonus. There's nothing Lee likes more than a good shower.
That'll do for me.
Yeah, but you've got to be a wee bit careful on the beams here when you get over to this side of the house.
That'll do for me.
Yeah.
So all that remains now, as they head up to the spectacular roof terrace, is to see if they can close the deal.
None of it comes without hard work, as you will know.
No.
You can say that again.
Well, we're sold on it, so now it's up to you to...
very keen to...
Okay.
We've got some photos here to show you the fishery, and just so you can
One
get
can't help but feel there's a bit of a
That's the
mismatch
bottom
here.
of the first lake. Oh, there's some...
Oh, that looks superb.
And that's the
The
countryside,
view.
as you can see. There's
From
no...
a-
I mean, you've
That's
got
the view.
neighbours here, but you've got no neighbours at all. None at all.
It's beautiful. It's obviously a lovely part of the country.
Yeah, that's the entrance coming from the A5. That
The
was our-
A5 is how far away from you?
Well, there it is.
That
there.
is the
And it-
A5. That is the A5, and that's our entrance going into...
Oh dear.
the lake is over
Looks
this
like
side
that
and the whole
could be a bit of a
coast
drawback.
on that side. This is where we keep the
Our
stockfish.
all our stock fish, nothing under £3 in there, 3, 4, 5 pounds out.
Have you got any pictures of the actual house?
Well, there is no house.
The house.
There is
Well,
no house at the
not
moment.
at the
That-
moment, no. We're,
Oh, I
we're
see.
actually living in this mobile home.
Right.
And this could be a much bigger drawback.
So that is the house, and that's it, is the living accommodation.
Yes, yeah.
So what you're asking is effectively at the end, forgive me if I'm blunt about this, but for me to swap what we have created here, 6 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms, for this scenario,
Yeah.
no, I can't see us wanting to do it. I am sorry, but I will not be able to convince my wife, and I can't convince myself that it's a deal that would make sense.
So, as we feared, a disappointing and rather fundamental misunderstanding.
I had anticipated that however a house might have been, it could have been a 2 up and 2 down old-fashioned farmhouse from which one could have built on, perhaps, very much as we've done here. But to start with a mobile home it's not a start, it's a non-starter.
Oh, I'm very disappointed, of course. But you don't know unless you try.
No, it was an unfortunate mix-up, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a look at that advert and see if we can make it a bit clearer what it is that we're actually wanting to swap.
In the next programme, Lee is looking to develop the fishery,
But I mean, to put 20 cars here is nothing. It's
but he's having trouble in hooking a business partner.
He has got a very simplistic attitude towards it, that somebody's just going to walk in with pots of money and say, well, there you are, Lee.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a tosser and he can go away and multiply.
Then he and Cheryl make the mistake of paying a surprise visit on Tim over in Spain.
So let's go and have a look at our
we
snail
come to see
farm
our
then.
snail farm.
What snail farm then?
Well, there was a friggin' snail farm there.
Well, there was. He's a bit of a freaking plonker, isn't it?
Tomorrow, see the transformation of a 16th century farmhouse, barely touched for over 400 years. On Grand Designs, 6:05 tomorrow night on ABC.